Hi everyone, it's Dr. E and I'm here with your week 5 instructional video. Hopefully the sound and video and everything about this is working now. I have to admit that all of the problems lately have been negatively impacting my pride, so hopefully this is making up for some of it and the lack of videos lately, so I'm hoping this helps. All right, so I want to get started this week by reviewing just a few points I want to make absolutely sure that I cover before we get into what is a pretty heavy and intense week. It doesn't come out of the blue, it's been on the schedule, but it will feel a bit heavier than others. Which I apologize for, but I want you to also know that if you've completed the food journals and even just the second food journal, so much of the work is already out of the way. So revising the food journals and making that into a single document submission for the collection, you've done most of the work. So hopefully that eases your mind just a little bit. So the first thing I want to make sure I mention is that I've had some issues with email. I don't really understand why. So if you have sent me an email somewhat recently and haven't heard back from me, that's why. It's very uncommon for me to not respond to emails, especially student emails. So be patient with me. And if it's something that is still concerning you, that you haven't found your own answer for, or anything like that, please send me another email or just go into your sent emails and resend to me so that it's definitely coming through. That's been a source of frustration for sure, especially with our firewall and having things routed to the junk folder. Don't get me started. All right, so I also want to note that we're in the last full week of the course, so there is the need to explain that there is a very quick timing and turnaround for grades. So this is something to consider when you're thinking about your submissions this week. So you'll want to double check your document titles. And what I mean by this is ensuring that you are submitting the proper document, you haven't accidentally uploaded the template, you haven't accidentally uploaded a previous version of your food journal for the collection, that kind of thing. Just make absolutely sure that you have done your due diligence when it comes to naming the document so that it's easy to find and upload. Remember that D2L will send you a confirmation email when you've successfully uploaded in the assignment area, so make sure you receive that. Just do everything you can to double check. The same is going to be true for our multimedia project. You don't want to get a grade that totally surprises you because for some reason your project didn't post, like D2L timed out and you didn't realize it, or the link for a video actually doesn't work. Keep your eye on the discussion area for the multimedia project. That's where we will post the project. Because oftentimes you'll have colleagues who kindly say, well, you know, I really enjoyed your paragraphs that were posted here, but your link didn't work, or your document isn't opening, it's corrupted, or whatever the case may be. So you may get some of that good feedback. And again, because of the quick timing and turnaround, I'm going to grade what's there. So be careful, really follow the instructions. Make sure that you're not using a link to Google Docs or OneDrive or any of that, that you upload the actual document and that kind of thing. So in thinking about revisions for the collection, in the feedback, many of you have received, some specifics about topic sentences and feedback related to research. So make sure you're taking some time to look at that. But I also want to recommend that you are looking at the MLA help module. So that's in D2L in the content area. So if we go to our D2L course and go to the content area, you'll see that all of these, modules are here, and there's one specifically for MLA help. So this has a link to the Purdue Online Writing Lab website, which is kind of the gold standard when it comes to MLA guidelines and reliable assistance. This is why you don't have to purchase a separate MLA book, because why, when you have this link? I also have an MLA video that I walk through some specifics about me as a professor and what I expect with MLA. I'm not saying you have to watch it, but it's there for those of you who are still kind of having maybe a struggle or confused about MLA, because you do not need to be an MLA expert. That is not the expectation of any of your courses, that you're MLA, APA, any kind of expert. It's just about making sure that you utilize the resources that are available to you, whether that resource is me or the Purdue Online Writing Lab website or our librarians who love to help students with this kind of thing. So just make sure you're keeping those things in mind, and note that there are some, example citations that may be, useful in some way, shape, or form. Hint, hint. All right. So the MLA Help module, really make sure you're viewing the feedback. So in this week's module, there's a link to show you how to view your feedback and turn it in. You need to make sure that you're seeing my feedback. Even if you had a really great paper, a really good grade, you're going to have some sort of feedback from me, which is in blue text. I'll explain that in a second. So make sure you're seeing that, you're seeing any of the grammar suggestions, that kind of thing. And I want you to know how I grade. So I have a fairly large computer screen, thankfully. So when it comes to grading something like this, I will pull up your previous submission that I offered feedback for, and I will pull up your final submission to make sure that you have made the edits that have been suggested or required or that help meet the guidelines or standards. So understand that I will be looking at the previous to see the revisions, right? Because that's such a big part of this assignment, is really focusing on looking at our work with fresh eyes and having that good feedback that can help. So something to keep in mind. Also, I can see when you have viewed your feedback. Not to be super creepy, but just FYI. All right, so when it comes to the collection, I wanted to mention some of the notes that I found myself kind of sharing over and over with the feedback. And one of them is that you are the focus of this assignment. So in order to make sure that that is, the center of your writing, make sure each topic sentence relates to you. I think some of us with academic writing, because it's usually the norm and expectation, you have some topic sentences that are very general, that are perhaps based solely on Finley or the research that you'll use. And that's understandable, but know that our writing is really focusing on you and your experiences and your connections to food. So go back in and just do some tweaking to make sure that those topic sentences are about you, okay? And remember that we don't want to kind of crowbar any quotes or research into our paragraphs. Sometimes you'll find the absolute perfect quote for your idea, but that quote is actually used in a much different context from the original source. So this quote by Finley may really help you support your ideas, but the meaning for him is something that's very different than the meaning for you. That it's not necessarily ethical to use quotes in that way to our own benefit. We have to provide our readers with context and explanations for quotes, and we don't want to mislead them about other people's ideas by just kind of using quotes to crowbar them in to fit what we are trying to argue. So just some things to consider, and let me know if you have any questions. And just remember that you rock. You've done an amazing job. You've had great patience with me this summer session, and you've done so well. I mean, looking at the grades and looking at your work, I am floored, by how great the effort is and the investment in the course. So 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend y'all. So thank you for that. All right, let's get to this week's module because there's a lot. So just make sure you're taking some time to really look through all that is required this week. So note that the revised food journal is officially due on Thursday, but that will have some additional time. I want you to see Thursday as that deadline, because then we have the multimedia project due Sunday. And I don't want you to have everything down to the wire for these two pretty large grades due at the same time. The ultimate deadline is going to be Tuesday, but know that that's the last day of class, and that's when D2L will shut down and you won't be able to look. So if you submit your food journal on Thursday or before, I'm going to try to grade those as they come so that you can see your grade, can see the feedback and all the information so that it doesn't come as a surprise. The earlier you submit, I'm really going to try for getting those grades back to you so you have them. All right, you're watching what will appear as number 1. There's plenty of information to review. Please use the template, please. All right, the multimedia project is going to be in the discussion board area. So make sure that you are reading the instructions properly, that you are having the paragraphs that are required in the text box area. If you have a link for a video, then you can actually, copy and paste the link here. But many of us will be posting something like a PowerPoint. So make sure that you are adding your attachment and that it is something that you can open. So just follow the instructions. Y'all have done super well this summer session, so I don't need to harp on this. Just make sure that you're using all the options in D2L that are available to you. And review the guidelines beforehand. You can also, of course, review the rubric if you want to take a look at those specific kinds of requirements and the points associated. Make sure that you click post and double check that it has been uploaded. Okay. If we go back, I'm going to then show you in the assignments area as I scroll, try not to go too quickly, the food journal collection. Now remember, this is just a way for us to revise, edit, and add a little bit to what we've previously submitted and you've received feedback for. So again, just take your time to read through everything. I've provided the prompts in case you've forgotten them and want to kind of do some revision work in that sense, or if you weren't able to submit the first journal, whatever the case may be, everything is available here. Just remember that you have the whole set of guidelines, a certain number of paragraphs, a certain number of sources to use, and those sources are anything from our course. Don't go outside of our course because you shouldn't have to do work when it's not required. I'm not requiring you to do outside research because we have it all available to us here, not to mention some citations available in the MLA Help module, just saying. So anything from our course related to food is fair game for the number of sources required. You have the template. Please use the template. The first thing I see when I open your document is formatting. Y'all, I know I'm a true nerd because when I open a document, all I see is MLA. It's like I'm in the matrix and all I can see is the formatting. I can see if your header is not right. I can see if your heading is not correct. The spacing, the spacing is something that I instantly notice. And then before I read anything, I'm going to scroll down to your works cited page and I'll make note of the corrections that need to be done there. So you want the first impression to meet the guidelines, right? So make sure, again, you're using all the resources available to you, including the templates, including the MLA help section. Anything I can do to help you, please let me know. Post in that Q&A discussion board area. Help your fellow students out by asking the questions there, okay? All right, going back to the content area, the last thing to consider for this week is going to be a quiz. And that quiz is based on the readings that are really important. We're thinking about using sources, how to utilize ethical sources that are not striving to spread misinformation. And then we have another quick video that relates to food. So again, this is something you can use in your collection as research. So the Jennifer 8 Lee video, it's really great to watch. It's one that I love and assign every time because it's good. The last thing I want you to, let me pause to cough real quick about that. All right, the last thing I want to mention is that some of you wrote about, comfort food and things in your journals that can definitely connect to what you choose for your multimedia project. So some of you were talking about mac and cheese, fettuccine alfredo, tamales, all kinds of good, yummy foods that are comfort foods. And some of you mentioned because you're connecting to Finley, working to make those healthier options. And I thought, well, why not try, to make that for your multimedia project? Make a video of you making this this dish healthier, or just making the dish period. Show us the Mongolian tofu, show us those things that are bringing back such wonderful memories, the gumbo, the fried chicken. I can go on and on. Y'all made me so hungry with these food journals. So think about how you might, in order to, save yourself some brain power, just see how you can use that for your multimedia project if you haven't made a choice already. All right, y'all, good luck this week. I know it looks really intense and heavy, but I hope at least the project turns into something really fun for you, and that the food journal collection is not super stressful because you've done a majority of that work already. So y'all, you're so close to the finish line. Finish strong, get those really great grades. These are heavy grades. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to get the best possible grade. Good luck this week, and let me know what you need.